Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJAY Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. On this edition, we're going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints making some roster moves and including releasing a longtime veteran. But, of course, I want to say thank you for checking out this video. And if you're checking it out, please, pretty please, with sugar on top, hit the like button. If you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast and its content, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. And if you're on the fence, like I always say, hopefully by the end of this video, you would have hit the subscribe button. But let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about some of these roster moves that the New Orleans Saints have made. I think that the biggest story is about wide receiver Tre'Quan Smith. Now, Tre'Quan Smith was a part of this 2018 draft class back in the day. Tre'Quan Smith was drafted in the third round by the New Orleans Saints out of Central Florida. He was a guy that was known for his speed, his down the field threat that he would give to defenses. And a lot of people thought that when Tre'Quan Smith was drafted by the New Orleans Saints, that he would end up being the number 2 opposite of Michael Thomas. But of course, as time went on, we realized that was not the case. And you had to admit to yourself, and I think that most Saints fans probably felt this way, he was on borrowed time, right? I mean, everybody kind of thought that, Tre'Quan Smith probably would have got released like 3 years ago. Like every single time the release names come out, everybody anticipates that more than likely it's going to be Tre'Quan Smith. But Tre'Quan Smith, just like a character on an episode of Survivor, Big Brother, any reality show that you have where, people kind of mingle a little bit, you're wondering to yourself, like, how in the world is this guy still around? And it was the same way when it came to Tre'Quan Smith. But I guess if you say something, you constantly say it, eventually it'll come true. In the words of Sam Cooke, it's been a long time coming, but I know most likely he was going to go. All right. And he did. The Saints put him on IR in 2023. And, they released him from IR. And this has been something that has been constantly occurring in Tre'Quan Smith's career. Like, he could not stay on the field. He can make a big play here and there. He didn't end up being that number 2 that New Orleans Saints fans thought he could be. But I will say this about Tre'Quan Smith. Tre'Quan Smith has been a part of some of the most historical moments in New Orleans Saints history. I mean, when Drew Brees broke Peyton Manning's passing yards record, Tre'Quan Smith caught the touchdown. But it's always Tre'Quan Smith that is a part of historical moments for the New Orleans Saints. I'm not going to poo-poo on Tre'Quan's career. I can remember him having a big game against Philadelphia when he went over 100 yards, making some big catches. I can remember Tre'Quan Smith catching a go-ahead touchdown against the San Francisco 49ers in that classic 48-46 game where the 49ers ended up winning by a field goal. I mean, Tre'Quan Smith did make some plays. But the problem is the fact that I can actually call those plays out, right? I mean, Michael Thomas has made so many plays throughout his career. It's kind of hard for me to just signal in just one play. I mean, I guess you can talk about the Los Angeles Rams play where, he pulled out the cell phone, but I remember that probably because he pulled out the cell phone. But when it comes to Tre'Quan Smith, I mean, the plays were too few and far in between for a lot of New Orleans Saints fans and, liking. And now he's on the street. And also the New Orleans Saints signed quarterback Jake Luton, who was a part of the team last year. He was a part of the quarterback crew. And, of course, this is no surprise. I'm pretty sure more than likely that Derek Carr is not going to be playing on Sunday, dealing with that AC sprain. Contrary to the clown that was in the comments that tried to go at me saying that it's not that big of a deal. Well, guess what? He's going to miss a game, and it is a big deal. You ass clown. But anyway, the fact is, he's going to miss some time due to this AC sprain. You're going to have Jameis Winston out there playing, and you need somebody to be a backup. And Jake Luton, who has been with the New Orleans Saints, he understands what the Saints need him to do. It's unfortunate because more than likely you're probably going to take snaps away from Taysom Hill. But the good thing is that you have Alvin Kamara coming back. So, he'll be able to run the football. And you have Tony Jones Jr. and Kendre Miller, who did a really decent job, all things considered, by that trash offensive line that the New Orleans Saints have this season. I mean, you got Alvin Kamara coming back. But Alvin Kamara can provide a spark in the passing game and hopefully in the running game. And if he does, it's probably going to be on his own, strength and will, because it's damn sure ain't about to be about this offensive line. But all in all, the Saints are doing what they need to do in these troubling moments. It's unfortunate that the Saints are going to be without Derek Carr. You give a guy $150 million, you expect for him to play. But, when you don't have an offensive line that can protect your quarterback, you got to look out for him. I think in one of those cases, if the Saints probably had an offensive line that was about something, I think that they probably would have gave Derek Carr an injection shot, and he'd probably be more willing to play. But when your offensive line looks like straight up slaw, and basically it's a death sentence going out there playing quarterback right now, I am not surprised that Derek Carr is not going to be playing. I expect for the New Orleans Saints to get him close to 100% as possible in order for him to come back. But in the meantime, there's nothing wrong with Jameis Winston. I know some people don't like Jameis Winston, don't have respect for Jameis Winston, feel like Jameis Winston is a scrub. You're entitled to your opinion. Even if that opinion is a little bit weird, you know what I'm saying? But I just look at both of these quarterbacks as of right now, and I just think that they're virtually the same. The numbers, the stat line, the way that they play the position is virtually the same. I don't think that Jameis Winston is going to come in and light the world up and throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and help this offense get back on track. But I think what he can do is stay the course. He can limit some of the mistakes, and he has. I know some people don't want to look at it that way. They want to say that he's a turnover machine, and that's the story, and they're sticking to it. They don't want to look at the progress that he's made as a quarterback and making the right decisions, even if that means taking a sack, which some people felt that he needed to do. But I digress. Jameis Winston can do what needs to be done for the Saints to win the football game. If the defense continues to play like they have over the last couple of weeks, not the fourth quarter, but, last couple of weeks for, most of the game, for I can say 11 quarters, if you do that, then I think they should be fine. And Jameis Winston, if he can get the ball into the hands of the playmakers, I think that'll be fine too. I also think you're probably going to see some more passes down the field in this game. Jameis is definitely not afraid to throw the ball down the field. So I think that might provide some electricity. But hopefully Pete Carmichael, the offensive play caller for the New Orleans Saints, can stop being a coward and allow these guys to be able to push the ball down the field without being so damn conservative. Look, at this particular point, you got to see what you got, right? You can't be dealing with Jameis Winston with kid gloves and afraid that he's going to make a mistake, because that's not fair. Because we seen that Derek Carr made his fair share of mistakes throughout games, and they still gave him the green light. So I think that the Saints need to trust Jameis Winston and for him to make the right decisions. And before anybody tries to compare Derek Carr to Jameis Winston, look, they both did boneheaded type of, passes. So if you're going to say one thing about Jameis, it's only fair that you say something else about Derek Carr. And if you didn't, or if you don't, I should say, you're a hypocrite. If you're going to evaluate the quarterback position, let's evaluate it fairly. And also, I just think that when it comes to Jameis Winston, I just think that, he's been on the sidelines. He's been hurt. He's been dealing with injuries. A part of him, even though he's with the New Orleans Saints, I'm pretty sure he feels that he's good enough to be the Saints starting quarterback. And this is a great opportunity for Jameis Winston to audition for other teams. Look, whatever happens, no matter if Jameis Winston goes out there and he wins several games, it's still Derek Carr's team. So whenever Derek Carr gets healthy, Jameis is going back to the bench. But if Jameis can go out there and perform well, he can open up some opportunities from other teams. And that's a good thing. And of course, it would be great for the New Orleans Saints because he was the quarterback and he helped the team win. So that's what I feel about the New Orleans Saints quarterback position. Don't expect for Derek Carr to play. They signed Jake Luton, as a backup. You're probably going to see Taysom Hill, but not as often as you once did due to the fact that he probably is going to be your backup quarterback. And this is one of those situations where it's unfortunate that Jake Haener is no longer available because, he's dealing with that 6-game suspension. So he still has about 2 more games left after this Tampa game that he has to sit out. But if he was available, then you wouldn't have to worry about going out there getting Jake Luton, right? I mean, you got Jake, but it's not the one that you want, right? You got Luton. But hopefully the Saints can be able to bounce back against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay, we know what they are defensively. I mean, they have some really fast, athletic linebackers. They got the big guy up front, Villa. They got some pass rushers and Shaq Barrett and other guys that can contribute in a major way. They got some playmakers in the secondary. We know about Carlton Davis. For better or for worse, he does do a really good job guarding Michael Thomas. I'm pretty sure they're probably going to switch over him to Chris Olave. So I expect for Chris Olave to go out there and handle his business. It's going to be an interesting game. Both teams need this win. It's a divisional game, so you definitely want to go ahead and get that win. You already got one against Carolina. If you can beat Tampa, that'll put you ahead of the curve, right? So you don't have to worry about trying to keep pace within a division. You already won 2 division games, and you kind of control your own destiny from there. But I would love to hear from you. What do you all think about the release of Tre'Quan Smith? What do you all think about Kirk Merritt? I forgot about that. Kirk Merritt being cut. And what do you think about the Saints signing Jake Luton? What does that mean for the quarterback room? Comment down below, like and share this video. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate you checking out this video. Previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. You can also check out the State of the Saints podcast on HNSN. It's a podcast I do every single Wednesday. All you got to do is download the HNSN app, and you'll be able to check out the State of the Saints podcast. It's a completely different podcast than what I'm doing right here. It's not the same content. It's not the same videos that you hear here on YouTube. It's exclusive to HNSN, and just check it out. Let me know what you think. Please support. And also, you can interact with me on social media on X at TJAY Jones 8. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?